The member for Indi has the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Health. I'm seeking clarification about Indi hospital funding. As reported in the Wangaratta Chronicle and the Border Mail, there's a dispute between the Commonwealth and the Victorian government around calculations around the National Partnership Agreement. If it's not accurate for this year, can the minister guarantee us for the next 2 years? And if the Commonwealth is not able to support funding for operations, would it consider extra funding for capital works, particularly at the Wangaratta Hospital?
The Minister for Health.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. And I've actually come prepared with a copy of the National Health Reform Agreement signed by the Labor Party under Prime Minister Kevin Rudd with the Premiers and Chief Ministers of every state and territory. And I would caution the member for Indi not to believe everything that the Victorian Labor Party tells her about Commonwealth funding to the Victorian health system. Clause 3C of the agreement makes it very plain, Mr Speaker, that the National Health Funding Pool has to take a nationally consistent approach. What we're actually seeing from the Victorian Health Minister, uncorrected by the Labor Party in this place, is a sneaky attempt to game the system and step up and say, we actually want different calculations for our state than for every other state. So the way that the National Health Funding Pool is distributed is based, as members know, on activity-based funding and the national efficient price. And what Victoria has done is artificially inflate the base of that funding formula so that the difference is artificially deflate the base so that the difference between that and the rate of funding that the Commonwealth notionally provides from this hospital funding pool is higher than it should be. Now, there are checks and balances here, and I reassure the member for Indi that if the argument that the Victorian Labor Party was putting was correct, every other state, particularly the Labor states around the table, would be stepping up and saying, what about us? We demand the same treatment. In fact, they're not. The Victorian minister is friendless around the COAG table, the Leader of the Opposition, the member for Jagga, the member for Isaac, as senior cabinet ministers in the opposition should correct the Victorian Health Minister and should make it very clear that the sneaky accounting trick that she is trying to pull, frightening individual hospitals, frightening patients, offending consumers, leaving us another Labor mess to clean up. I will be writing to every single state public hospital system to explain to them that it is the Labor Party who created the system and that the inconsistency and the gaming of that system by the Victorian Health Minister should absolutely be held up and held accountable. This is a mistake by Labor and a correction by the Coalition, and I look forward to correcting the record at every single Victorian hospital.
The member